Well, I'd like to make a podcast, and I'd like to call it Walking with Dennis. And I'm hoping that because the camera wouldn't be focused on me, but on Dennis, that people would listen more closely. And I'm biased, and I might have a bad attitude about that, but my experience has taught me otherwise. Right now, I'm headed up to Kroger. I need to get a prescription and some vegetables. I've been craving salad, and I want more kale and romaine and red cabbage and all the other things I put in a salad that makes it completely unhealthy. But I do love vegetables. But I'm gonna walk up through the back of the neighborhood here, and what was on my mind, and hope that maybe I can develop a podcast. And I suppose the reason I want to do it is that I'm just so mistrusting of media, and this has nothing to do with choosing left or right, which most people base their decisions on whether they trust media or not based on how the voice on the TV represents their own beliefs, what they choose to believe in. But I simply became disengaged from TV after losing my eyesight and listening to it for years, not because I could no longer see all the beautiful people, gorgeous women, etc., but tragic events. I never saw 9/11. I just heard about it and read about it, so it didn't affect me visually. But the content and the spoken word, which should be the most important aspect of our lives, considering communication, considering the Savior came here and spoke. He didn't draw pictures, although he did paint pictures with words, allegorically, metaphorically. And just as a note, I'm not a Christian. I just read, and I believe in what I read. But I listened, and paying attention to TV, just listening, gave me a completely different understanding of how manipulative they were. They haven't been divisive just since 9/11. In truth, what I believe is that media representations is the fourth branch of government. You have your judicial, your legislative, and your executive, and you have the media. And they work hand in hand. And they always have. I mean, why else broadcast messages to people about certain things that happen, in New York City and elsewhere, when people in Dubuque, Iowa don't need to know? Why do you need to know that Davey Johnson died, a Major League Baseball manager? Why do you need to know that Michael Jackson died? That's a subject that I would like to podcast about, is death and our relationship as a culture in Western civilization, and how this essential part of life is ignored or wrapped up in something that most of us fear, so much so that it controls our beliefs, our belief system, what we choose to believe in and choose not to believe in. But I stopped paying attention to it early, and then when 9/11 came around, I found it disgusting how they went about it, and everything that followed in TV afterwards. It's live, what do you call it? Survivor and Lost and these kind of programs. It was no longer Seinfeld. It was no longer Cheers. Lighthearted, good comedy, good writing, excellent acting. Now, the acting you get today on TV is largely emotional. I mean, anybody can come speak in tongues in church. Anyone can put on a fit of being, what is the word? Angry or emotional. But it takes a really good actor, if it's even possible, to display the human characteristic or act of serenity. You know, it's easy to fake talking in tongues. And when you do that, that scares a lot of young people. You know, when that happens in church, and I was a kid, and we weren't at a Catholic church, we were at another church. Someone did that scared the life out of me. Didn't like that at all. It's too close to snake handling. So I stopped paying attention to media. And even these days, when I walk into a room and it's on, I feel like the TV's watching me, you know, more so than me listening to it or the people that are watching, you know, engaged in it. Because it has been so divisive. It was, I've said it before, we wouldn't be divided if people didn't willingly give their hearts and minds to it. But most recently, the guy who's the new great white father in the office, I don't mention his name, same as I don't mention the name of the great black father who preceded him, or, well, I guess it was another great white father in between. But I don't mention him by name, because as soon as you mention the name, the people who are divided and choose to be divided, they wrap up their convictions in that name. It's an incredible way to label and identify. And it's a very powerful means. So again, media is the fourth branch of our government. And if you don't believe that's true, just ask yourself, who do you listen to before you go vote? You know, we're not paying attention to the people in our own lives. But the most recent thing that the Great White Father has done is he sent warships into the Pacific, down to Venezuela, small country, to prevent us from getting drugs that are killing our citizens. And of course, they frame the language of the media and the president and the people who want to talk about such thing in belief that it's not fair to do this, that you're killing our citizens. Well, keep in mind that we're divided, and half those citizens most of us think of as stupid or the cause of all the problems. Most recently, that's the liberals. Everyone blames the left. But during the first 10, 15 years after 9/11, people blamed the conservatives. They blamed Bush Jr., the shrub. And I name him. I made a mistake. It's probably not good to name any of them. But I believe in humanity, and I believe in the people who pay taxes more so than I believe in the people who collect them. And that, of course, is the people who might be listening right now. So most recently, he sent them in there because he wants to protect American lives from the drugs that are coming in. And we all know that we can't send kids to public school. Can't send them to a Catholic school. Parochial education. And not in Minneapolis. Not since last week. You know, we can't do that safely anymore. Alter, for God's sakes. Archbishop Alter. One of the finest institutions in Montgomery County. Good friend of mine, Eric, is a policeman. That's his main job. That's where he goes to work every morning. With the metal detectors. At Alter. Other schools have them. And we know that this is a bad change. But yet we're concerned about drugs coming into the country and blaming Venezuela, an entire nation, ruler of people, putting those lives in jeopardy to stop drug trafficking. And yet we had fentanyl killing people left and right, and policemen dying through osmosis or getting sick from being touched by the same chemical on the job, 10 years ago. But we weren't talking about Venezuela then. But now all of a sudden that's the answer. So we're going to send these ships down there. The other thing that's on my mind today is when I came home this weekend after being up north, I got my mail, and there's a app on my phone. It's called One Step Reader, and it photographs the image and it reads my mail back to me. Now, years ago, before technology, myself and other blind people, we hired people to read for us, you know, at a rate that was subsidized by State Services for the Blind if we were a student, or it came out of our own pocket. When I was employed at Reynolds & Reynolds, I paid people to read and to shop with me. Now the technology makes that accessible. And there's good things about technology and bad things about technology. But the letter I received in the mail was from Premier Healthcare. And it was to tell me that, incidentally, due to a breach in the data, that things specific to my being, human being, David Cohen, my social security number, may have been taken. Right? This is technology. So that we get the freedom of being able to send emails and the alleged efficiency of it, but we never have discussions about how much we've sacrificed, what it's done to us as a people, how much we've given up for images. Now, as a side note, one of the worst things about technology is pornography and what that's done. And we have the ability to change such a problem and to make it inaccessible to the larger portion, to the larger group of the populace, namely young people. When we were kids, young teenage boys, and we went into the bookstore and we wanted to glimpse who was on the cover of Playboy, we did it. We did it surreptitiously by putting a Sports Illustrated in front of it. Come on, man. And we disguised it that way. But now it's all out in the open. I don't know if I've got the light here or not. There's not enough traffic going parallel to tell me. There we go. Anyway, there's a bit of blindness training. That's crossing with parallel traffic. Now that cars have become quieter, it's become more challenging at times, especially when they stop idling to save gas, allegedly, with that quick start and stop thing. You got to make sure they're there before you move. So anyway, what you do is you make PCs and you sell them the same way you used to sell Hustler and Wii and Penthouse at 7-Eleven, and you make those marketable to the demographic that wants to buy porn, and you put those out there. So there's technology. We've invested in it, we've accepted it in our lives. It's given us a breach of personal data, fraud, right? Illegal this and illegal that. We've got more elders being manipulated by it, right? We've given up so much, and yet none of our leaders talks about it, about managing it, managing and what is worth having and what is not worth having. And technology is not worth having pornography. You want pornography in your life? Go find a partner, you know? But what's it doing to us? What good is it? Anyway, I sound like an old man, and technology's done that to us. We know this, a lot of us. 50 years old, we're talking like 80-year-olds, like our grandparents did to us when we were kids, because we say things were so much better just a short time ago. And it's a fact. But that was a dialogue that was presented, and you know, we engaged when we were young, and we heard, you know, when we were kids and we walked 5 miles to school and that sort of thing. But now, a 40-year-old, when I was 40, I was noticing that I was starting to talk like an elder, like Statler or Waldorf from the Muppet Show, and just being completely negative, you know, and critical about the way things were going and changing and the rate at which they change. We will never, as far as I believe, experience a density of change like we've experienced in the last 25 years and what may be coming. And back to technology, now we're talking about artificial intelligence and how this is going to save, make things better, this, that, and the next thing. But we forget that when the computer goes down, when the technology's not working, when the electricity fails, and again, we're now subject to an attack on the electrical grid, and they've done nothing for that. That's in the lap of all of us Americans. They presented us with the technology and the resulting problems that are going to be associated with it. I'll be quiet here because I got to listen. But no one talks about all of these things that I'm mentioning that we've had to give up that has affected our lives. And we know it's in the school system, such that now, 25 years and 30 years after the introduction of the first cell phone, they're saying now we don't want cell phones in the classroom. And I don't think that's the answer. That's not even close to being the answer. That is what the Japanese call fixing the blame. You blame something and you focus on the blame. And that's what people do who engage in politics. They fix the left or they fix the right. They blame them. They never look inwardly and ask themselves, how am I responsible? Well, how am I responsible? Well, I'm a human being, and I have the opportunity of a God-given brain to use that brain responsibly. And right now, we're not doing that. Our lives are based and centered around religion, politics, social events, and call it healthcare. And those three things have their own documentation, and we have to pay lawyers. If we were to be cited for jaywalking, most of us would pick up that law, and God knows how many pages are contained in a law for jaywalking. But could you defend yourself in court without hiring a lawyer to read the confounded language? Probably not. But our education system was put there to educate us to be able to do that. So why is it that the language, let this person pass who's coming up behind me, is so difficult to engage, and we are largely a population that does not read? And that's difficult. That's a loaded statement. That's difficult for people to say, and I'm biased because that's become my main hobby. I love it. I just can't get enough of it. And it changed my life. Along with not seeing, the fruits of my disability are far greater than the disability itself or the inconvenience. And that's what I think of it as. It's an inconvenience. Other people think of it made, tragic or some other thing like that. But I'm going to go in here and shop. And keep in mind that all grocery stores, and this is using my intelligence, my mental capability, right? They're all set up the same. All the aisles are parallel. So keep that in mind. And the things that need refrigeration are always on the perimeter of the store because they need electricity. The meat's at the back, so they can deliver it through the back. It can be refrigerated. I'm looking for a basket. Oh, I got it. And keep in mind, folks, they put these in the same spot everywhere, every place. They're always in the same spot, so it's not incredible what I'm doing. As I'm talking to you, I'm paying attention always. My ears are out ahead of me, and I'm listening to these things. And that is the power of our brains and our senses. God doesn't create anything, Creator doesn't create anything in excess that we don't need. And to not use it, to call it super or heightened, is wrong. I had to learn how to do it. And I'll get back to that in a minute. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, where I left off, coming into the store, I just got some help getting some things, and I remember the aisle number, so next time I come back. And what I wanted to say about grocery stores is that all these aisles are parallel. And the bread aisle smells like bread. And believe it or not, the confectionery aisle with flour and seasonings, obviously, you can smell that and you know it. So if you learn that number, whatever number that's in, 13 or 9, and you associate it, the next time a blind person comes in, if they know bread is in 10, and they go to the next aisle and they smell confectionaries, they know that's flour and baking materials, so that's 11. If they're moving in that ordinal direction, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on, or in reverse ordinal direction, 8, 6, 8, 7, 6, and so on. So also, when you go into the paper aisle, you know the difference between toilet paper and paper towel, for its height in the packaging. Also, in the freezer aisle, those are usually in the middle of the store, and the doors are obviously closed, and they're cold to the touch. And when you reach in, a gallon of ice cream doesn't feel like a bag of frozen peas. There's so much in our lives that is simple and ordinary. And I think that when people engage disabilities and blindness in particular, they're overwhelmed to begin with to think that how can I do anything with not seeing? And it takes away or interrupts or preempts our ability to think logically as human beings. And that's what blindness has given me as one of its fruits, is to engage mentally my ability to think and what's called reason. So, beg your pardon. So anyway, Also, the meat is at the back of the store. And of course, you come into Kroger, you can smell the fish. It's disgusting. It didn't used to be that way. But I'm going to the pharmacy. And as I walk here, I'm going to do this without talking, hopefully, because it splits my attention. Anyway, okay, I'll do it this way. I'll go back up this aisle. And of course, I can follow the aisle, and it keeps you in a straight line. Okay? And I know where the pharmacy is. It's on the, what's going to be the east side of the store. I'm going to go up here and turn right. But every time I've gone to the pharmacy, I never know which pharmacy aisle to turn in to get to the pharmacy counter. I always have to listen. That's just my bad blindness skill. Okay, now here's the registers. The registers are always at the front of the store. And as a blind person, you know where they are because they beep. They make noises. And the registers are set up in parallel lines, just like the aisles. And I didn't take a wide enough arc on my cane. That's why my shoulder hit that pole. And I'm talking while I'm doing this. So hopefully, and I'm listening. There's an echo between. That's how I managed to stay between. I think I am back at the pharmacy. I think I am. Hi, is this the pharmacy back here?
The pharmacy?
Yes, miss.
Straight ahead.
Straight ahead there?
No, the other
that
direction.
way.
I'm sorry, you didn't see me pointing. Straight ahead where it says...
Get the general direction and I'm gone. Pharmacy? Oh, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'll be with you in just 1 second.
Oh, thanks.
I can get you.
Oh, hi, good morning.
Here, good morning.
I'm picking up for David Cohen,
Okay, what was the date of birth?
August 23rd, 1970.
Okay, it does look like there's two ready. Did you have any questions?
No, is it sodium bicarb and something else that's fine?
Citalopram, yep.
I don't need that. I don't take that anymore. Thank you.
Okay, let me get that off there then.
Is this desk at an angle to the aisles?
Yes,
That's
it is.
okay.
Yep.
I think in right angles. It screws me up.
So just for the sodium bar,
Bicarb, yeah, thank you.
it's gonna be $6.38.
All right. 5. Oh, I don't think I have another single. I'll give you 20.
Okay.
And a super lotto ticket that's worth nothing. Did you win? No, obviously not.
No, or would it be?
I suppose not. It was 6 what, please?
It was $6.38.
Thank you.
So 13 and then 62.
Thank you. Is that the 10 on the bottom?
Yep, 10's on the bottom,
Thank
1's on
you.
the top. I'll be right back with that.
Thank you very much. Now, I'll take the 10 and fold it 3 times. Andy Leach taught me how to do this years ago. I'm making a video and I'm talking out loud. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Taking liberties at recording the public. This won't go to your review, I promise you. And I won't fill out a survey.
I'm just taking your citalopram out of the
Sure.
bag.
I'll just eat it on the way home.
That's a good idea, though, making videos.
Yeah, I hope so. I've got so much to say and I can't talk to myself all afternoon.
Here is that.
Thank you very much.
I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna have to buy something because I need to get my neighbor $40. I owe my neighbor $40. And let me get back to 90 degrees. I hear the register. You guys hear that beep, beep, beep? That's where I want to go. But I don't want to run into a wall of display. And of course, I want to find a register that's got a human being, not a U scan. I want to go to a YOU scan. A human, not a Utopia scan. Okay, I'm in an aisle. There we go. Which one of these has an open human? Swallow my pride. Is this aisle open with human? Hi. We got a human scanning here?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm checking out. Are you?
Mm-hmm.
This is a U scan.
Oh, it is. So
Yeah.
go down this way then,
No,
yeah?
other way, other way.
Other ways got human folks doing it?
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm gonna buy a candy bar because I need to get some cash.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. I don't. I got a whole basket full of stuff. Thought I paid for that already. How are you today?
Okay.
Hey, lady.
250.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Good. It's Katrina, isn't it? Katrina, right?
Alyssa.
Oh, you sound like Katrina. I'm David.
David.
Katrina doesn't work at this store anymore.
Wow, she'd been here for 20 years.
She was at shut down. Huh? $2.
And you have your cardboards.
Give me the number, please.
Okay.
That would be pro-
937
Okay.
281 0226. Would you package that with the groceries?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then 20, then 18.
Would you help me? I want to get some cash back, please. Thank you. Debit.
Okay.
The number's 6453.
Oh, and then how much did you want? 20?
40, please.
40?
40, please.
And then what's the pin?
6453.
Okay, here's your card
Thank you.
and the money.
I'll,
20, 30, 40.
I'll give that back to you, okay? Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'm gonna put these in my backpack.
Okay.
She leave the groceries here?
Yeah. So right there, you want assistance?
So where'd she, oh, okay.
Oh, can I have that bag? Don't lined up here.
Thank you. You just drop it in there?
Okay.
Like trick or treat in September.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Let me get that. Okay.
That'll do, yeah? I can carry what's left if there is anything. Gotcha. Thank you. Is there any more?
Huh, that's it.
Oh, whoops. I got one sticking out here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me help it.
There we go. Thank you.
Oh, that's a rip right there. Oh, it's rip right there.
It's okay. I'll get it. Thanks.
You feel it?
I do.
Wait. I think it has to be re-zipped.
It does. I'll get it. You go ahead. I'll take care of it. Thanks. Oh, I hope that holds. And of course, the entrance and exit is always at the front of the store. I hope my backpack doesn't split open when I'm walking home. And the sound of the automatic door. And here we go again. Now, people think I'm crazy for doing this, but there's too much clutter on the sidewalk, so I'll walk in the street. Well, the access point here, whatever you call it, the drive up, and use the curb to go along the front where the cars pull in. And if one pulls in, I'll just step up to the left. But there's usually carts and such, and in the spring and summer and fall, plants and firewood. And the cane gives off a lot of sound just with that little metal tip echoing, and I couldn't do it justice. I don't think I have the ability to put it into language. And there's something about blindness that teaches observation. I can't teach blindness thoroughly with verbs and language. When you watch what a blind person does, that's when the true learning, that's how you learn about blindness and really probably most of the important things in our lives. Right now, I'm listening to the traffic ahead on Schroeder, moving north and south. And I know that when I get up here, I'm gonna cross the entrance path, driveway, and find the sidewalk to go back up to Far Hills. And of course, someone's got a weed whacker. God, do you remember when those things used to be quiet enough that the sound was retained in someone's yard? Now it sounds like a logging camp in the great North Woods. It dips, the pavement dips, now it's gonna rise and come up and meet the shoulder over here, this concrete thing. And I'm gonna follow it. However unorthodox it looked, it works. And I'll find the, what do you call it, the sidewalk here. Now, as for learning how to do this, I couldn't always do it. It took me 3 years after becoming blind to begin to learn how to do it. And now people oversimplify or lay a tag or a label on, senses, and they call it heightened. They'll say, you know, a disabled or blind person has heightened senses or super hearing. And I don't like that, because it takes time, and most blind people that you meet can't do this. And that's simply because they're like sighted people with sensory perception that's dormant. And as a side note, God, the creator, doesn't create anything in excess. There's nothing created in the human that isn't there to be used. God didn't put it in there superfluously, like, here's an extra button we'll stitch onto your shirt in case you lose one. It's there because the plan for us living as human beings, creation felt it was necessary. Now I'm listening to that truck that stopped, and I don't have the right of way. Now the thing buzzes, and I got the right of way. So I'm gonna follow the sound of the parallel traffic. I gotta get over a bit. This is ballsy to do this while I'm talking. I don't know what, it separates my attention a little bit, but I'm cool. And I know that there's a truck that stopped there, and I'm gonna listen for that guy. When the light changes, his engine's gonna roar and he's gonna move north. And if there's a car idling there, it's gonna head south, and I'll use its line coming past me on my right to stay parallel to get to the crosswalk on the other side. Little Frogger action. Guys turning. And it took me some time to get back out here because I was hit about 5 years ago in a crosswalk. That,
Be careful though, because you've only got 8 seconds.
you talk and disrupt me. Anyway, I was distracted because somebody drove by in a car there, and they must have been smoking a bowl because it smelled like the kind bud. So much for drinking and driving. Now everyone's getting high and driving, and it's everywhere. I smell it all the time. You know, that's something that there should be more of a public forum on, is the legalization of drugs. And people who know me, I don't care either way, but I think it's terrible that there's no taboo with it, and that kids are younger and younger getting into it. And we got to be fools to think there isn't something purposeful behind it because of the way they're going about marketing it, with all their daft names that are marketed towards, you know, super galactic and blueberry, crunchberry, what's it, however they're calling it. You know, it's no longer Sensimilia or just indica. It's got all these superhero names and whatnot. You know, the names that you would have for Garbage Pail Kids for us in the cards back in the 70s and 80s. And they did the same thing with beer. You know, it's no longer just Bud and Miller. It was Boat Show and Headhunter, you know? All these like comic book action figure names. I don't know why that's marketed to adults, but again, a lot of adults use emojis, you know? And we think about emojis as pictorial representations of language in the context of using text, which can be useful. But we were taught that our language began with hieroglyphics. But to me, the possibility is there that quite possibly these literate people became so inept at writing that they resorted to hieroglyphics. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it didn't happen such that it was hieroglyphics led to the written language, iconography of Asian languages and Hebraic old, you know, languages of the desert. When they're written, they look like old bones that are scattered, leaned up against one another. But now these series of pictures that I get from, you know, texts and on Facebook, and again, there's no pictures for me. It's all audio, and that might be why I'm so cynical. And of course, cynicism is an impolite way of stating the truth. And as Americans, I do believe we prefer comfort to truth. We've been lied to about so much. And one of the greatest lies that has been perpetuated on us is our education system. I graduated high school with a 1.9 grade point average. So, truth be told, folks, I shouldn't have graduated. They should have never let me out of the building because I was dumb as far as things academic were concerned. How I managed to get through college is definition enough to tell you that the individual has a lot to do with it and the environment. But we were taught to memorize, regurgitate, and forget. And our valedictorian and our salutatorian, and this is no criticism, direct criticism of such people that were in the top of the class or the bottom of the class. That's where we're all the same. Because a year afterwards, within a year, maybe within weeks after taking our tests in high school, ask yourself, be honest. Do you remember what the Lend-Lease Act was? Do you remember who Henry Clay was? Remember Manson, Hathaway, John C. Calhoun, Henry Clay? I know their names. I don't know what they were involved in, but I had to study it and pass a test, and I'm sure I barely passed. But there were other people who got A's and still don't know what it's about to this day. So we ask ourselves, what was the point of all that education? Do we know this day, after 13 years of education, public or private, what the difference between a prime number and a whole number is, a variable and an integer? Do we know? Right? People say, I'm not taking algebra. I'm never going to that country. Why would I care to learn it? Right? And that's what we were dealing with. We forget about this when we go and split ourselves according to politics. That right now, as we are living as citizens of the United States, I feel helpless. I feel like I am just waiting for the next thing to happen or the next demographic change to take place, you know? And we shouldn't feel like that. That's terrible, to be given life and to be in a position where not one of our leaders has apologized to us. Not left, not right. They've never come on the TV, right, and said, I'm sorry, because I know that you're all feeling vulnerable. I know that you're all of a certain age, knew a country that is nothing like it is today. And that's a fact. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being, dramatic about it. It's true. We know it's true. The changes that have come so quickly that for all the years we spent together in high school and college and working through the 90s, we never experienced so much change, such that it's affected us. Politics has entered our lives, and we have friends of ours whom we love and respect that can't sit with their family members at a holiday dinner because their belief in politics and choosing sides has separated them so. It's given them a feeling that has been largely voiced in a divisive manner. And it's a shame, and that's a main concern of mine, how easily we were divided. I've said it so many times, and all we did was subscribe. We tuned into TV, we turned it on, and we became addicted to that programming, such that walking around Kettering all those years, I used to hear people playing music all the time, just music through a rolled down window, maybe a sporting event. Now you hear people with their windows rolled down, they're broadcasting radio waves, news, pop news, who did what to whom and why, in somebody's opinion. This morning, one of the news things that Tom Brenneman mentioned on WLW, right? And I suppose I engage it because I don't believe in it. And it's good to start with that. Doubt everything they say. Don't doubt it according to what appeals to your political beliefs, and base your life on that. But everything, and I believe this is a rule, the media tells us the truth about events that are inconsequential to our lives. A crime in Dayton, a crime with police and kids is inconsequential. Things that are political, the environment, society, religion, things that control us and affect our internal outlook, right? On life, our feeling towards the world we live in, the view of the world we live in, those things are consequential reports of the media. And I believe that's what they lie about expertly. Like I was saying, 4 branches of government. Media has always been in partnership with them. And that's a lot to handle. It's a lot to take on. And it didn't happen to me overnight. I've had a unique life experience that in most cases, most people kill themselves if they become blind, or they become so depressed they can't function. And for whatever reason, you know, being who I am and the environment in which I grew up in, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the ability, human ability, recognizing human ability, and I want it for all blind people. I do. I know it's not possible. I know it's not going to happen. But the training that I went to in Minneapolis in 1991 at Blind Incorporated, Blindness, Learning in New Dimensions, otherwise nicknamed as Boot Camp for the Blind, I'd have to detail that, was marvelous. And some people would say, oh, that's cruel when you shouldn't do that. What it trained me and put me in an environment around blind people who were previously employed in the public sector, lawyers, school teachers, right, office workers. In order to teach blind people at that school, you had to have had a job in the private sector, in the public world, right? And they did. These people did. And they led independent, fulfilling lives. They had children. They went to law school. They had advanced degrees. They rode the bus system. They shopped. They did yard work and such things and so on. They did. So I was exposed to that. And I'm going to name drop. There's a guy who graduated ahead of us, and he wrestled, Andy. And I'm sorry to take liberties, but my interpretation of blindness, and I know he'd be okay with it, was Andy. I didn't even know him, but I knew there was a blind guy in our high school, and I knew that he did everything everyone else did, and I knew that people knew him, so I never was afraid of it. My major disability in the first few years when I was not getting out with a cane and developing my skills was that I wasn't listening. I still hadn't turned on all my sensory perception. I had alluded to it earlier. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like a dog that loses a leg. It's got 3 legs and a week later it can run up a flight of stairs. It takes time, and the majority of blind people, I'm taking a shortcut through my own yard here, don't get that. It's a fascinating subject to me. And I think about young blind children, parents of blind children, and how the parents, it's so important that they develop an attitude of expectation, because if their expectations for a blind child are low, you're definitely going to create a very disabled person. And you can't blame them. You can't be angry at them. This is a life situation that is overwhelming for a lot of people. My parents, I noticed, indirectly, out of kindness and love, everyone knew, knew my brother Mike and I, and we shared our responsibilities at home. But after I went blind, Michael, do this. Michael, will you take it? Michael, will you cut the grass? And I noticed my name stopped being called to do things. I had to initiate it. And it wasn't because my parents purposefully did that. They did not. It just happened. It was a reaction. It was a reaction to emotion rather than observation and watching, right? And again, it was early. And even years after, my mother was still a non-believer. Just did not believe in it. She probably shouldn't get that deep into it. But that's difficult for a parent. I don't blame her. And we forget. We forget that our parents are human beings too. They had lives before us. And now all of you, most of you have children, and you know that you had lives before your children, and that sometimes your children are gonna think of you in terms of how can this be? And we forget that not a category of human, it's just a different category of responsibility. GoPro, stop recording.